forget, you can hear the full-length, longer version wherever you get your podcasts. As is often the case, it's before we even start recording that the really best stuff comes out. We've covered energy drinks, caffeine, the weight of a jacket, the capacity of its pockets, the pros and cons of carrying a bag. Who else could I be discussing these things with but Bridget Christie?
Dry throats and wet throats.
That's what we opened with.
We did open with that because you had some coconut for the watchers and listeners, and I love coconut. I've loved coconut since I was little.
It's a lovely taste.
All different forms, shredded, desiccated, squared.
I offered Bridget, would you call it squared?
Squared.
And she came up with this dubious claim. Please repeat it.
Well, no, I said, oh, I love coconut, but it might kill me.
And I said anaphylactic shock.
No, because it's dry and blocky. And I've got this thing where sometimes dry foods, or if it's a vitamin that has quite a hard casing, they'll get lodged here. And I went into hospital. I've been x-rayed. I've had all sorts of experiments. I've had to drink this white chalky liquid, barium.
Barium?
Barium.
A barium meal.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they tip you sort of upside down and then they take an x-ray. But no one's been able to get to the bottom of it. But yeah, certain foods get lodged. I thought I was going to die on a chocolate snowball once. You know, they've got like dusty coating. They've got like icing sugar on the outside. I know what you mean, yes. And my family thought I was joking, so they were just laughing at me. But I was
you
like,
weren't joking, you were choking.
Yeah.
You hear that? You weren't joking, you were choking. It's quite... No?
Well, I suppose if I was someone that wasn't around,
Great comedians a lot of the time, you might have found that funny.
Well, no, it's good,
Well, it rhymes.
It did rhyme.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
joking,
I get joking, not joking. Choking, not joking.
If I'd said it, I wouldn't have been delighted with myself.
That speaks volumes. And that is why you have been rightly lauded.
No, I haven't. That was so mean of me.
I suppose once you've been lauded like that, it does entitle you to take a rather lofty position when a elderly podcast host is delighted in a little wordplay.
I feel so awful. Actually, I mean, I hope you cut that. I mean, it was very mean of me. And I do apologise.
We've established the power dynamic early on.
You thought of it very quick.
Thank you.
So you should be really pleased with, with that.
Like a young Robin Williams. So soup is your ideal then?
Soup is quite filling. That's good. And you don't often get dry soup.
Yeah. But you must love something like that which slips down. Or ice cream. Ice cream. What's funny now?
But not with a cone.
Even a tiny bit of the cone.
I think the cone might be okay.
Yeah.
But I often remind myself of a heron I once saw in Camden Lock swallowing an eel.
Really?
Because sometimes I have to do this kind of...
What, really? To get the food down? Wow.
And my kids hate it. Their point is that to get it down, doing all the extra stuff isn't going to help because it's kind of... So they're like, you don't have to do all the stuff with your head.
But you do, don't you?
I do, but I'm quite a dramatic person.
Yeah, I'm sensing that. That's coming across.
Oh no, is it?
But you're creative. I think there are different rules for creative people.
But so are you.
Yeah,
but you're really calm.
Yeah, but I've also got a foot in reality.
So have I.
I don't think so.
What do you mean?
What I mean is I don't think you have a foot in reality. I think you are a true, free, creative spirit who struggles as much with the humdrum realities of life as she does with swallowing vaguely dry food.
Well, what I will say to that is that I think that there is that I am very open to wonderment and magic.
Oh, what a lovely quality.
And the unknown.
The inexplicable.
The inexplicable.
The mysterious.
The mysterious.
But what about when you know someone? Excuse me. What about when you know
Is
someone?
your throat okay? Sorry to... It's not... It's not a bit of coconut, is it?
It probably is, because I was wolfing. I also had a chicken and pasta salad. Not all of it, because I thought... I told Bridget I'm trying to shift some sudden late 50s belly fat. Anyway, now, we've gone off...
Oh, right off-piste.
We've gone right off-piste. Do you ski?
No. Do you?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. Why have you never started skiing?
It just never came up. I in Australia, funnily enough, in about 2000, I tried to snowboard.
Oh.
But I've got shin splints.
You've got the dry throat. How do you get insurance for any of these productions?
Oh, I don't think anyone knows.
What are shin splints?
Okay, so this bone here.
The shin.
Yeah, the shin bone.
Yes.
It's where the bone kind of erodes a bit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it kind of... Shall I actually show you? You can see it.
All right.
You see that? It's bobbly.
Yes.
And it's bruised and bobbly.
And that's a shin splint.
That's a shin splint. I don't know if you can actually see it in the light.
Well, I'm just going to describe it for the listener or viewer.
It's like bobbly.
It's like a woman's leg, but it's just a little bit bobbly. I mean, if you hadn't pointed it out...
You wouldn't have noticed it.
Well, no, but let's say you had exposed your leg and hadn't pointed it out. I'd have thought the behaviour was a bit odd, but I wouldn't have noticed any bob. And I'm wondering now if I'm bobbling. I'm wondering if I have shin splints without realising it.
Because if anyone knocked it, you would be in absolutely excruciating
You could
pain.
knock my shin up to a point.
With a hammer?
No. You haven't come here to talk about shin splints. You've come here because, rather excitingly, you're very splendid, and I want to get into the detail of it, series, The Change.
Oh, thank you.
Is returning to Channel 4 somewhat triumphantly.
It is returning, and I cannot wait.
And it won a bunch of rather prestigious awards, didn't it?
Well, it was nominated for some.
It won quite a few. I'm sure I read. Let me just check.
I think
Maybe they didn't tell you.
It won 2, I think.
Oh, well, that's a bunch. Mind you, if someone gave you a bunch of bananas, you said there's only 2.
But that was lovely. But
look, it was massively well received because I've got somewhere. Here we go. Listen to this. I wanted to read these out. Critical praise for The Change. This is quite something. Do you read your reviews?
I do if people...
If they're nice.
No, I think bad ones are useful as well.
So there's a discussion. The Guardian said, Bridget Christie's super cool menopause comedy is like nothing else on TV. Now, that's The Guardian. Now, you might think, yeah, well, of course, they're going to love Bridget Christie, aren't they? Hang on a minute. We just opened up The Telegraph. The most uplifting and joyous bit of television to have graced our screens this decade. That's The Telegraph.
I didn't know they said that.
Well,
I haven't read that one.
And then, well, if The Guardian likes it, or the Daily Mail, they're not going to like it. They're not going to like a thing about menopausal women in the woods. They're just not going to like it. Hang on. What would the male voice be like?
Would it be posh or...
Beautifully written and performed, sharp as a razor, subversive and surprising, with not a line wasted.
Oh, I like that one.
Had you read that one?
I haven't read that one.
That was the Daily Mail. And then, you know what, The Eye?
The Eye?
One of the most vital, brilliant British comedies in years.
Wow.
Now, you must have just, well, you haven't read them, had you? But if you had read them, you would have been sitting at home going, well done me.
Oh, God, I don't know. It is lovely. Honestly, and I'm not being, I genuinely mean this. When something is done, I reset to 0 again. So it's back to starting from scratch for me. It's never a fait accompli. It's always...
Tell the listener or viewer who has yet to experience the show I gave a little tantalizing glimpse when I said menopausal women in a forest. Give us, just tell us the show. It's not a pitch. You don't have to pitch it anymore.
No, it's really, I mean, is essentially a menopausal woman goes to the woods, but I think it's...
So in a way, I summed it up rather.
Very well. You did sum it up and it made me
brilliantly.
smile, which it was a very good description. It's more about, I think that it is anybody who maybe has lost their sense of self or identity or direction. I think you could be any age at all. So Linda, the female protagonist, she gave up work to, bring up the family and look after the kids. Yeah, she didn't go to university, so she works in a supermarket, and she suddenly gets to 50, and it happens very quickly, and has kind of forgotten really who she is and what she's like and what she thinks about things.
And she's married to a bloke who looks like Omid Jalili, so that can't be easy.
I mean, he was so funny. I couldn't think about any...
What a dreadful human being.
Oh, has he been on?
I adore Omid.
So do I. He's so funny. He's so free as well.
That's right, he is.
You just do anything.
That's very true. I've not thought that. He is very free.
He's so free. Yes. I remember one of the first times I saw him on stage, I was screaming, crying, because he had a very short set and it was a really high-profile gig. I think the Royals might have been there or something. And he came out and he didn't do material, really. I think he talked about the microphone or something. Yeah. And then he did something else that was so obviously spontaneous and free and so liberating to watch that, because essentially that's what you have to be, I think, in comedy. I don't want to take comedy too seriously, but people often talk about, who's your clown, what's your clown, what's the inner, why are you funny? Why is somebody funny? And that's all down to do with lots of things like context and character and material and things like that. But I think that the freer that you are, and I think you're very free.
Thank you.
As a comedian, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
And you can't take yourself too seriously either. And Omid, I mean this in the nicest possible way, doesn't. I think he takes his job very seriously.
He can't. I mean, look at him.
What do you mean?
That's just for him in case he's watching this. Is that opening stuff, is that the end of the first, a recap, or is that all new?
Well, we pick up exactly where we left off.
Exactly at that moment.
It's exactly at that moment.
That's a nice dramatic thing.
Who the F are you?
Yes.
That gets repeated, and then that plays out. So Linda keeps this, basically, she doesn't tell anyone when she decides to go, because it's her 50th birthday party and she realises that she's got all the food, she's bought all her own presents, she's baked her own cake.
Yeah.
And now she's tidying up.
Yes.
And so she kind of has this moment where also, so that happens, she's also got all these symptoms, she goes to the doctors. She had never thought it could be the menopause. Because like you were saying earlier, the memory, our sort of cognitive abilities tend to slow down and so she just doesn't put two and two together. So he says it sounds a bit like the menopause. She's like, oh God, why didn't I see that? Then it triggers this memory in her of being a child and going to this forest when she was... So she decides to kind of go back, see if something that she hid in a tree when she was a child it's a time capsule, and to see if she can kind of reconnect with that person that she used to be. So then she heads off to the forest on a motorbike that she hasn't ridden for years. And then she kind of tries to figure out who she is. And part of that is that she feels that if she told the new people that she's met that she is married with children, the questions would be about them. Why has she come here by herself?
So she doesn't tell them.
No.
And then we find ourselves then in the second season, which we are waiting eagerly for, coming out this year. And they are not happy with that because they feel they've been lied to.
They have been lied to.
Well, they have been lied to, yes.
They put her on trial. But it's also, I like the idea of these rural communities whereby you can't really, I feel like sometimes in life, no one's accountable for things anymore, especially if you live in a big city and people often excuse their own behaviour.
Well, the
and
rural setting is a lovely thing in it. And I know that you've got Mackenzie Crook directing this second series, and you've said how much you love Detectorists,
yes,
which is largely rural, of course. So it has those things have a different rhythm. Or even that thing Mackenzie was in, Jerusalem was set in the woods. And so it's a different kind of thing. Paul Whitehouse,
oh
who
my
is
goodness.
as good as it gets.
With that character, Tony, I wanted his arguments to be, I wanted there to be kind of a seed of logic, but that very quickly crumbled upon investigation. And you often know these people, they say they've got all their opinion, they go, oh, well, it's not right. And you go, why isn't it right? And they go, well, because, and you can see them trying to just think of phrases that they've heard, but actually they can't back them up with anything. And so Tony says, he's upset because some of his mates entered this comedy competition, but a woman won it. So his argument was that, women don't have to develop that skill in childhood or in youth because they can just use their beauty or anything like that. But that assumes that
that the only reason you would develop that skill is to have sex.
And for no other reason at all. Well, there could be an infinite number of reasons,
But Paul is...
he's so funny.
He's one of the best.
God, he's such a great actor, though.
Yes.
But there's a real vulnerability to him as well.
Did you see him in Death of Stalin?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's great in everything.
Yeah, he is, Lisa Tarbuck.
She's so good in it. Isn't she so good? Yeah. She's very good.
She's a top bird, though, isn't she?
She is a top bird.
She really is.
She really is.
Can't imagine anybody not liking Lisa.
No. She's very good in the second. She's very good in the first series. She's very, very good in the second series as well.
She's quite free, isn't she? I would say she's got a sense of freeness about her.
She has got... She's very free. I'd say Omid and Lisa have huge spirits.
Yeah. I don't know Lisa well, but well enough to... I've said this before. Sometimes my kids say, do you know so-and-so? And what really irritates me is when I say, yeah, well enough to say hello to. They go, oh, Dad! Because they want more. They want more detail.
They want more.
They want it, yeah.
Who's the best person in terms of your kids being impressed that you could say was a friend? Or
all right, I can answer this.
And how old are your kids as well?
Well, the two in question, the younger ones, are 16 and 13.
16 and 13.
I was able to introduce them both to Sam Fender recently.
Oh.
I don't know Sam, but we went to see his show and we went to say hello afterwards. And so the boys got to meet him. Brilliant show, brilliant guy.
Did they think differently about you after that?
Not that you wouldn't know it. No, if they do, they hide it well.
Do they watch your things?
Some. We all watched Gavin Stacey on Christmas Day.
Oh, nice.
That's an ensemble, so it's not like they're... But they probably don't. They don't watch much else. They'd watch that. They used to watch Would I Lie to You, but not anymore. But they're of a generation that doesn't really watch television.
They don't, do they?
No.
We watch box sets together, or films, or things like we'll watch Columbo.
Specific Columbo's great. Specific thing. Was that in? That's in your show, Columbo, isn't it? There's a reference to Columbo. Yes, you don't remember. You don't remember anything of your show.
I remember everything. Laura Checkley says to me, who the F do you think I am? And I look at her clothes and she's dressed the same.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And I go, another eel sister? And she goes, well done, Columbo, or
that's
something.
Right,
and I say, oh, I love Columbo.
You still love Columbo. So this really is reality and art intertwining.
Well, that's the amazing thing about it. It is such a privilege to be able to write your own thing.
Something so personal.
I mean, well, it is and it isn't. I mean, I feel like I know Linda.
You like Columbo, she likes Columbo.
Well, there you go. It's autobiographical because
you like
of that.
The Woods?
I do love The Woods. I ride a motorbike.
You ride a motorbike?
Well, actually, I'm going to sell it because I don't ride it enough.
Well, since you've steered the conversation to motorbikes.
That was good.
This. Thank you.
Yeah.
Better than joking, not choking?
Yeah, much better, I think.
Okay, so I'm getting better.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Just by being in your presence. On the way, I went into town this morning before I came out here to Fulham, and I was going to town. I was in a car. We went past a place that sells those Indian motorbikes. They're called Indian.
Yeah, they're
Anthony Hopkins,
beautiful.
world's fastest Indian, made a film about it, of
Yeah.
course. And I looked, and I've never really had a desire to ride a motorbike.
Have you not?
No. But I looked at these in the window, and I just suddenly, bing, little thing happened where I went, oh, so am I never going to ride a motorbike then?
Have you ever ridden one?
I rode a moped when I was filming in Malta, and I quite enjoyed it. So what size is your motorbike?
Mine's a 1200 cc.
12. So what's that? 1,200,
Yeah.
which is much more than a 125. So
Oh,
that's
it's like
big then.
almost, it's over, it's huge, yeah.
Wow. Which
I'll
make?
show you a picture. It's a Triumph.
Is it?
Yes.
You ride a Triumph motorbike.
Yes.
Wow.
And I do like it makes me extremely happy.
The other thing, and tell me if you've experienced this, you're not as old as me, of course you're not, but I've also had a thing, I've never had any interest in learning to fly.
Oh my
But
God.
the other day I thought,
me.
oh, so I'm never gonna fly a plane then in my lifetime.
Why are you thinking
Well, because
all
I'm
these
about
things?
to be 60, I suppose. I suppose that's the reason, if we want to be serious. I mean, maybe, or just generally being older. Do you know what I mean? That thing where as you grow, as you're younger, there's no end to the possibility of things you might do one day, and they're further down the road.
I was thinking this the other day because I'm 53.
Well, there we are.
And I was thinking that I can remember what I was thinking at 14.
Can you?
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically, what sort of thing?
I remember what I was going to do in life, what I
Which
did.
was?
It didn't actually. Well, I will tell you. So on my 4th birthday, my auntie called the house and wished me a happy birthday, and I said to her that I was going to be an actress. And then at 12, I did this local amateur dramatics thing, and then at 18, I auditioned for drama school, but I didn't get a scholarship or a grant, so I couldn't go. So I had to let that place go, and I worked in offices, and then I auditioned again at 23. And I got a grant from Gloucester Council and a scholarship, which meant that I could go. I was the oldest person on the course.
What was that like?
It was good. So then I did that. And then I never got a single job. So Linda is my first proper acting job.
Is it seriously?
30 odd years. And I had to cast myself in that. I've never got an acting job from an audition.
Sylvester Stallone.
Is that true of him as well?
He had to write Rocky, of course, to play the lead in a film. He'd played parts, but he was never the lead.
Well, I didn't get anything. I've never got a job from an audition in my entire career.
And you continued auditioning?
No, then I stopped. So graduated from drama school in 97.
Yes.
Stopped auditioning in 2005-06.
So from 97 until 2005, how often were you auditioning in a year?
Constantly.
Constantly auditioning?
Yeah.
And not getting the role?
No.
And what were your agents? Because I'm going to bet there was more than one.
There was.
Yeah.
But they said they'd never come across somebody never, ever getting anything.
Oh, good God. That's not the distinction you want at your agency, is it?
Well, I was like, okay.
This is Bridget. Now, the remarkable thing about her is...
Nothing. So then I was like, I can't live like this. Like, A, it's really bad for my confidence and self-esteem. I can't just be waiting around, going to auditions, not getting them. Well, then I started doing stand-up properly then 2004-05.
Master of your own ship then?
Yes.
Yes.
Then I could write my own thing.
Yes.
Kind of have a little bit more control over that.
Did you then, and then you did start picking up parts in things?
No, I'm telling you, Linda, I never got anything. I was in Ghosts because that's written by my friends, and they just asked me, but it was a tiny part, Annie. And then there was one other job that was cut. So in my entire career, and then I was in Kevin Eldon's, but he's also a friend, and he asked me, so I didn't audition for that either. I have not got a single job from audition.
And since the plaudits for the change, has there been a change in your work prospects?
Not
They probably just assume, oh, well, she does her own thing, doesn't she? She writes that, she stars in it.
Maybe.
I think sometimes I think that
Really?
perception can happen, yes.
Is that what I'm giving off?
No, I think a lot of people do who, if people know the change and within the business, they'll know that you star in it and they'll know that you write it.
Yeah.
So she's this one woman industry. You've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous or the ridiculous to the sublime, depending on how you look at it. So, but
I would like to be in things.
Yeah, but now if you're auditioning, now you have a kind of currency because now you are Bridget Christie of the change and you have a currency, surely. You have a value that you didn't have before.
Yes, and I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
But
it's time to cash that in.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we'll see what happens. Yeah. Can I say something though?
Yes.
I feel like I feel like I should have said more.
What?
Interesting things about stuff. I feel like I've gone on about my ailments.
Here we go.
No, just the thing you said about your 60, which is the new 40, by the way.
Thank you.
There's a thing that I do now at my age, 53, which I think is really good because I think we get stuck in who we are, and that's quite a boring place to be.
Yourself.
I mean, I am because you're great and so
you.
interesting and funny and everything.
Funny, yeah.
Think of things,
like that.
off the top of your head. Is challenge yourself and pretend that you're somebody else in the moment. So I've done that quite a lot, and I do it with my fears. So I've done it with rats.
Yes.
Well, our cats bring rats and all sorts in. And, I would used to scream or not be able to go up somewhere high. Now I say, I'm not scared of rats or heights. And tell myself that I'm not. And then I'm not.
Wow. Well, that's terrific.
And then you think after, I'm kind of being a new person here, and that's quite exciting.
As long as you don't take it too far. I'm not scared of oncoming traffic. And you step out into the road.
But that's why would
I just thought it'd be a nice way to end the podcast.
What?
I thought it was going to get a laugh. I'm trying to find a satisfying way to wind this up, and you keep opening up new avenues of conversation.
I'm really sorry.
Hey, Bridget, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
This won't be the last time because I think we've got a lot more to touch on.
I must be back.
If only your curious, real ailments and slightly invented ones. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.